wake up for me, the reset for me, a lot of people like will have like a tattoo or something that resets them, like, right? Mm-hmm. For me, it's when my feet hit the floor. I cannot physically tell my feet to get on the ground, but I can lift them up and set them there. And when I set my feet on the ground, it's like a reset for me of like, okay, it looks a little different than it used to, but I'm back. I tell myself the truths every single day. I'm still here. I have a choice. I'm loved. Let's go. Automatically, that puts me in a state of gratefulness. And man, if you start your day with gratefulness, if that's your base, you're in for a different life.
Our guest today, I'm so excited. Hunter Pinke, you are inspirational. Maybe the most inspirational person I've ever met. Oh. You travel the world talking about your experience about how there's no bad days. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
And I'd love to learn about your journey.
Yeah.
So take me through it. You were playing football.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. We've been talking about this for a while.
Yes.
A lot of messages. Does this work? Does that work? And
yeah.
I'm glad it finally worked out.
100%.
To get here and chat with you. But yeah, I've had a pretty wild past 4 years. Not to say that the years before that weren't good, but the past 4 have been pretty crazy. And yeah, I haven't always been in a wheelchair. I grew up like a lot of people, doing all the things that you love, playing sports, and small town North Dakota kid. Wishick, North Dakota is my hometown.
Awesome.
So shout out Wishick. I had 1,000 in my town, not high school, in my town. Yeah. Graduated with a class of 18, and
that's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in North Dakota, it's almost like something you like, not brag about, but like you're proud about. Like, oh yeah, like I come from a small town.
Yeah,
like
I had 70 in Hazen.
Oh, how small?
Which is
how smaller?
Yeah.
18. Oh yeah, that's pretty small. Okay,
that's pretty small.
33 in Washburn.
33, yeah. So I mean, I got you up both beats. So
yes.
But man, I got to do everything growing up. Like football in the fall, basketball in the winter, track and field in the spring, played baseball in the summer. But on top of that too, like FFA, FBLA, science fair. I was a band nerd. Like first.
What'd you play?
Trumpet. First chair. Come on. Choir. I played the piano. Still play the piano. So I truly appreciated like the ability to do whatever I wanted in a small town. Because if you don't do stuff, you're not gonna have a team.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, football was the ticket to college for me, to college athletics, and yeah, that's how I got injured. So, a lot to that story.
Yeah. What happened?
So, I had got invited on a ski trip by my good buddy Noah, college football teammate, and he invited me out to Colorado, and we were going to go to Keystone. Have you been to Keystone?
I have not.
Okay, so it's about an hour west of Denver, and so I remember we took a quick flight, Jamestown to Denver, and got into Keystone on December 26th of 2019. And I remember we got into the hotel, and Noah kind of slapped me on the back and goes, "Hey, I'll take the room over here, and you can have the couch." I was like, "Thanks, brother." Yeah, great. 6'6" and on a little tiny little couch. And long story short, I couldn't sleep one bit that night, tossing, turning. And I remember that morning of the first day, I got up at like 5 a.m. and I was like, well, I'm just going to go get a lift in. We got a lift. That's the college athlete in me. I went and sat in the sauna for a couple minutes. I remember I tested out the hot tub, and I went back up in the room, probably 6:37. Boys were still zonked out. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to go sit outside. It was a beautiful morning, 27 degrees on the 27th of December. I'll never forget it. Beautiful. Fresh snow had just fallen. And so I'm like, man, today's going to be a great day.
And this is your winter break.
This is my winter break, right?
Yeah.
Our season had just wrapped up. We had lost in the FCS playoffs to Nicholls State. And so it's like, man, time to relax, have some fun. Like our season's kind of over. It's time to just kind of let loose a little bit. And so that morning, I remember on my way down to get my like skis and ski lift ticket and all that stuff, I gave my mom a call, and I remember saying, like, Mom, just checking in with you. We're going into the back country. Probably not going to be very good cell service. I'm probably not going to talk to you the rest of the day. And I remember her saying, "Oh, it's all good. Have a good time." But at the end, she said, "Just be safe." And I said exactly what I've said, hundreds of times before. I will.
Yep.
Click. Let's get that done. I went and got my ski lift ticket and hopped on the gondola. Boys had stumbled down by then and hopped on the gondola and headed up the mountain. And first run of the day out in Keystone is a run called Mozart. And really everybody skis Mozart. It's a blue run, so not too easy, not too hard, just right in the middle. And how Keystone works is you kind of work yourself back. So you ski down one run, and then you take another lift, and you kind of work yourself back into the mountain. And so everybody skis Mozart. It's pretty heavily used. And I remember that first run, I started off, and I'm a flatlander from North Dakota. Like, I don't get to ski often, but I've been skiing my whole life. I started when I was 8 years old. I was skiing Big Sky and West Coast, but I'd never skied Colorado. And so this was a first for me, and so I was excited and get going. 10 seconds in, I kind of got my mojo back, in and out of cuts, start skiing backwards. And halfway down the run, I just realized that I'm bombing this run, just flying. And so I stopped because I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. Everybody's kind of got that one friend that's just like, balls to the walls, here we go. And so I stopped. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to wait. I'm the guest on this trip. I'm going to wait for everybody to catch back up, and then I'll get going again. And so I waited for my whole party to get past me, and then I started again. Now, Mozart was situated a little bit like an interstate system, I-94 or whatever that might be. Right side, left side, and in the median, that's where trees were, splitting the run. So I was on the right side, and I remember after I let my party and my friends pass, I started up again, and I see a chute take me from the right side of that run through the left side, through the trees to the left side, excuse me. And so I took that chute, and I loved skiing in the trees. It's peaceful, quiet, fresh snow, big moguls, and so I drop into that chute, and I can still feel the wind, and I can still see that tunnel. Think about chute, you can't go left, can't go right, you got to take it. And so faster. As I'm approaching the end of that chute, taking me out of the trees to the left side of that run, small jump, take me out of the trees. And I remember those words my mom had said just a few hours previous of like, Hunter, just be safe. Like, just be safe. You don't got to get big air here. It's the first run of the day. And as I approached that jump, came out of the trees, skis left the ground. That's when I saw the other skier that was now going to be entering into the trees. And 5 seconds. That's how long. That's how long it took from the time that I saw the skier to when I made impact. I remember seeing him, and the first thought is just like, move, move, Hunter. Here, you're gonna hit him. And 6'6", 265, couldn't move fast enough. We collided, lost my balance, head first slide. This time wasn't sliding into home plate. This time I'm sliding into a tree. So I remember kind of that first moment after I came to, I had this thought of like, gotta move your neck around and like, oh, I'm gonna be sore. Like, that was my first thought. I remember like, dang, this is gonna hurt. And then it's a thought that everybody has had in their life. It's like, okay, I've fallen. Now it's time to get up. And I pushed to get up and nothing happened. It was like I was pinned down. And so I remember looking back, expecting to see like something laying across my legs. Like I was like, shoot, I ran that tree over. Like it's got to be laying across me, pinning me down. And there was nothing pinning me down. My legs were back there, but they weren't moving. And so I remember that word came back of like, come on, move. Except this time, it's at my legs. It's like, come on, legs, move. And nothing happened. And that's the first moment when I thought like, oh, I think I might be paralyzed. And that's a scary thought. And so after that, other skier came over. Obviously he was apologetic. I mean, he didn't see me. I didn't really see him. And I remember him saying, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I don't think I am." And in that moment, I mean, I'm scared. Don't really know what to do. I asked him, I said, "Hey, are you a Christian?" And he said, "Yeah, I am." And I said, "I think we should pray." And me and him prayed up on the mountain. And I can honestly tell you, Brian, like from that moment on, I just had a peace about the whole situation. Like I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew it was going to be all right. And I can't really I don't know if I can fully describe it in words, but I just had a feeling like, you know what? This is new charted territory for me, you know, uncharted, but it's going to be all right. I'm going to be all right here. And it turned out to be all right.
Wow. Okay. So you're coming in, and there's another skier is coming. He's already going down. So you're just kind of like jumping out in front a little bit.
Essentially, yeah. Right? I was coming out of the trees. He was about to enter, and our paths just kind of crossed. And
yeah. And then the collision happened, and you fell forward, and then you fell into a tree. Yeah. Right. So you're going into a tree, like head first.
Head first.
And then that knocked you out.
Like I was out for a few seconds, but I came back pretty quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just like thinking in my own mind, I love how you are recalling this story, but there's like a panic in me that like just I would be beside myself.
Yeah.
So you've been a Christian for your whole life, is that right?
Yeah, I was raised in a really good family. And you know how it is, like you're raised in a church or you're raised in a faith, but it doesn't really become your own until you make it. And so like I was a Christian growing up. I knew the truth, but man, in college, I think the Lord really worked on my heart. And that's when I think my faith kind of became my own.
So it had become your own before this accident?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
okay.
For sure. But man, your faith changes. I mean, you can say it's consistent, but man, like we're up and down. We're humans. We're flawed. And so I would say like my faith grew tremendously after my accident. That's not saying I was in a bad spot, but I would actually vouch to say that if your faith isn't moving, if you're, you know, on a plateau, man, you might need to reevaluate.
Right.
Yeah, I was a Christian, but man, I think God met me on the mountain that day. And maybe he didn't meet me. Maybe I just saw him a little bit clearer.
Right.
Because I don't know if he's ever left.
Were you panicked in
that first moment?
I
mean, you're looking back and you're like, come on, man, like move. And like your mind is telling him to do it and it's not listening.
Yeah.
And that's there's a panic there.
There's I mean, is that a part of like just being in shock?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's definitely that element. A ton of adrenaline. People always ask like, well, was there pain? Did it hurt? And no, I had no pain. I still really don't have any pain. No nerve pain. Only pain I'll get is maybe a little sore just because I have no function, no feeling below my chest. And so I kind of have to hold myself up or else I'd just be, you know, slouched all day. And so maybe a little muscular pain, but I mean, you kind of get used to that. So no pain. And then really after we prayed, I'm telling you, man, like I really wasn't too worried. Like ski patrol came and they start, you know, poking you and prodding you. And I remember like the ski patrol gal, like she was super cute. And I immediately started flirting with her. Like no shame in that. Like I was for sure flirting with her. And I mean, like my buddy Noah, who I was skiing with on the trip with, right? They had all passed me, so I was in the back. So they were waiting for me at the bottom of the mountain. I don't come. Like something must be up. They go back up that lift and then come back. So it was probably like 15, 20 minutes before they got to me. And I remember like, Noah, you know, Hunter, you know, what happened? You know, can I do anything for you? And I remember I go, yeah, Wands, that's last name is Wands. Wands, I need you to make a call for me. Who do you need me to call, Hunter? You know, and I go, I need you to call Bockel. Now Bockel's our strength and conditioning coach at North Dakota. He goes, sure, what do you want me to tell him? I go, I tell Bachel I'm probably going to take a couple months off from squats. And he's like, okay. And then he realized, he's like, are you joking about squatting right now? And I'm like, yeah, I am.
So
and
you just have that humor.
I just like, I had a humor. I had just the, like, you know what? Give me a couple months off from squats, but I think I'm going to be all right. And so, yeah, I had a panic right away, but there was a piece that came pretty
That's
quick.
awesome. Has that always been a part of you to like I mean, it sounds like you were trying to calm other people down.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think I've always been able to take the positive out of things. I like to be an optimist, but I'm also a realist too. And so, yeah, I think that's always kind of been who I am.
Yeah.
How did you know that you were almost acting with your humor like there is no hope, where somebody would be like, oh, okay, well, maybe in 2 hours, maybe in 2 months, maybe in 2 years.
Yeah.
How did you just commit to the worst possible scenario, and then whatever happens is just gravy?
You know, there's always in the back of your head, like, especially early on, like, okay, I've heard of things like stingers, you know, you lose everything, and then the next day you start getting stuff back. In the back of my head, though, like, I just kind of had a feeling this was pretty serious. You know, you don't know that at the time, but you're like, man, this is pretty bad. I would say I didn't commit to, like, the worst possible scenario, but it was definitely present. Like, I think this could be pretty bad. This is pretty serious. And then you come out of surgery and you get the final verdict of, like, what really happened. So until the doctor told me, you're kind of holding on to that hope of, like, you know, maybe I'm walking out of here in a week. And then the doctor comes in and shares the news.
You were at the doctor, you're at the ER there. And I'm assuming you called your mom.
So, yeah, I mean, I wasn't really in a state. They got me on drugs pretty quick, painkillers, all that stuff. Obviously, the people I was with called my parents, and they tried to hop on the last flight to get to Denver. And ambulance to Denver, a 2-hour ambulance ride, but I had an 8-hour surgery to repair my back. I went headfirst into a tree, didn't have a concussion.
Wow.
Concussion protocol on the mountain. I remember the ski patrol asking, I need you to remember this sentence for us, Hunter. All right, what's the sentence? 5 red monkeys jumping on the bed. Can you remember it? I got it. Still remember it, right? Mm-hmm. No concussion. Head first into a tree. I didn't break my neck. But what I did was I shattered the middle of my back. And so my spinal cord injury is a complete injury, meaning I have damage to my spinal cord at the T6-7 level, meaning pretty much middle of my chest. A complete injury, meaning that I have no feeling, no function below that line. And doc walks in, and, you know, just like on any good medical show, House, Grey's Anatomy, whatever it is, doc walks in. Well, son, you know, we got good news and bad news. All right, doc, give me the good news, doc. Give me something good. Well, you're still alive. All right, what else? Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, I know. And, you know, you can still get your degree and all this, your family, all that. You can have all that. Bad news is you got a 2% chance.
2%.
To get some feeling back below your injury line. And I go, 2%, huh? He goes, yeah, 2%. And I started kind of chuckling, you know. And he thought I was losing it. I was going hysterical or something. He goes, it's going to be okay. Like, trust me. I go, no, doc, I don't think you understand. So you're saying there's a chance,
Yeah.
You know? And shout out Jim Carrey. But that was my mentality of like, okay, so you're telling me I got a chance? That's all I need. Because at least I know where I'm going now.
Yeah.
Like, at least I know what I'm chasing. At least I know the path that I'm going on. I was afraid he was going to come in and be like, you got no hope. You got no chance. But, okay, 2%? Yeah, I can handle that.
It's 2 chances.
Yeah, exactly. Better than 1. Exactly. Yeah. Double than 1. So, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to 2%. But the journey to get there, that's where life is lived. And so I'm fine with it. At least I know where I'm going. This is pretty cool, though. He did have a question for me, though. He goes, you know, Hunter, I've seen a lot of skiing accidents. Come down from the mountains. I work on spinal cords all the time. But he said, you went headfirst into a tree and you didn't break your neck. First off, that's amazing. I see a lot of spinal cord injuries, high sea levels. You injure your sea level, that starts affecting your hands, right? But he said, you went headfirst into a tree and you hit in the back of your head. It was a big old dent in my helmet that I was wearing. Also, wear a helmet when you're skiing. Like, if you don't, I think you're dumb, personally, because it saved my life, and I just don't know why you wouldn't. But big old dent in the back of your helmet, that's where you impacted the tree. I see a lot of injuries that are frontal injuries. People see where they're going. You get hit in the front of your head, you snap your neck, and you're dead. But he said, you hit in the back. Can you tell me, why, how that happened? I said, well, Doc, it's a little fuzzy for me. Maybe we should just go back and watch it. And I had a GoPro on.
Oh, wow.
And so I went back. My dad and I watched it. My mom didn't watch it. She still hasn't. She never will. But there's a still shot that right before I hit the tree of my hands out in front of me, and they're literally touching the tree. It's rising up. And for me to get that shot, I had to have been looking at it, right? GoPro sees what I see. And so at the last second, I lowered my head and I tucked my right shoulder to kind of hit the back right. And I got thinking, I'm like, lowered my head, kind of tucked my right shoulder. And I go back to the doc, I go, Doc, I mean, that's football, man. Like, you probably weren't watching many North Dakota football games, but I wasn't going to run around you. I was probably just going to run through you. And I'd probably lower my head and tuck my right shoulder. And he kind of smiles. He's like, well, football might have just saved your life. Funny how that works. So, that whole kind of first moments after you hear the diagnosis of you're not going to walk again. I was 3 days on my back. Couldn't move, had to let the scar heal. But day 4, they got to sit me up. Day 5, I got to get in a wheelchair. I started doing time trials, down the hallway, and timing myself.
Day 5.
Day 6, I started doing time trials. Yeah.
Okay.
Day 7, day 8, and then on my 9th day, I got transferred to Craig Hospital in Denver, which is a top 10 rehab facility in the world, specialized in spinal cord injuries and then traumatic brain injuries as well. And just 15 minutes down the road. How lucky am I? And so I went to Craig, and I did 2 months of rehab at Craig, and that's really where they taught me how to live again.
So is there any element of this where you took some time to wallow in self-despair?
There was.
Okay.
A short time. It was pretty short, man. I mean, I think it was probably at Craig when I'm starting how to learn how to live again and stuff, where you just start to think I remember I asked myself the question, is anybody going to love me in a wheelchair? Because I had this, who I was, and this athlete and North Dakota kid playing for his home university. And you ask yourself the question, is anybody going to love me? And then questions that follow that, I remember thinking to myself, I wonder if I'm ever going to get down on one knee, no, I see a ring on your finger. That's a special moment. You guys, I don't believe you have any married daughters yet. No. You got 2 daughters. Someday you're hoping you get to walk them down the aisle. Man, I do too. And so you're thinking, man, I wonder if I'm going to get to walk my daughter down the aisle. And you start asking these questions of man, why? And that's one of the times I cried in the hospital. I cried very few. I'm just not a crier, but I had a night where I was just crying, man, why me? I think we can all probably relate with that, because I think we all get to a point in our lives where that hits us, man, why me? And that same night, as I'm laying there, this thought of well, Hunter, why not you? And so I started thinking, well, why not? And well, Hunter, the only reason that you can't go and, play basketball in a wheelchair is you're probably just too lazy, or you don't have enough desire, or you're not disciplined enough. And I'm like, that's not me. That's not going to be me. Why not? Why can't you do that? And so I changed from why to why not, and I think my life probably changed that night because suddenly those answers to those questions, it's like, you know what? Like, I don't got to get down on one knee to still put a ring on somebody's finger. I can do it with two hands, and I still got those. And you know what? Like, I might not be able to walk my daughter down the aisle someday, but shoot, I'll roll her down the aisle. She can sit right on my lap,
Yeah.
Suddenly, like, it's like, why not, man? That changed things for me, no doubt.
Wow. So, Craig Hospital is where you were for rehab?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about rehab and how that went for you.
It's strenuous. I mean, they push you. It's a top 10 facility in the world for a reason. I think that's where miracles happen, man. You want to go see miracles happen, go spend a week at Craig. It's pretty unbelievable. But rehab was tough. I mean, we started at like 8 or 9, and we went through 4. It was like a full kind of work day. And you're meeting with PTs, you're meeting with OTs, you're meeting with psychologists, you're meeting with a wheelchair, like a PT, but she's like your wheelchair coach on how to use the wheelchair. How do you pop a wheelie? How do you get over a train track? How do you, all that kind of stuff. How do you open doors? That kind of thing. Then you're, working on transferring. How do you get on a plane? That kind of stuff. How do you drive?
So, I mean, you're an athlete, a lifelong athlete. Was there some confidence with that? Like, I can do this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, immediately you're like, dude, I'm going to kill this. Like, I'm going to absolutely destroy this rehab.
You had to have been their dream patient. I'm being honest. Like you
the end,
you were coachable. You had upper body strength. You have all this stuff that PTs and OTs are looking for.
Probably, yeah. For the first 6 weeks, I tore every muscle in both my shoulders. And so for the first 6 weeks, I had to let that heal and getting slung around. And but once I got my shoulders back and started getting some strength back, that changed things for me. It was funny. I just did a checkup. Talking about dream patient, but I just did a checkup at Craig a few months ago and just went to make sure everything was good. And I'm talking with a wheelchair technician, and he goes, "Where are you from?" I go, "I'm from North Dakota." And he goes, "North Dakota, huh?" I go, "Yep. We got a few kids down from North Dakota." I go, "Yeah, I know a couple of people that have been to Craig." And he goes, one of our most famous patients ever actually came from North Dakota. He was a football player, and I mean, people still talk about him around here and how he handled himself." I go, "Oh yeah, what was his name? I can't remember." I go, I'm a football player." And he kind of looked at me. He goes, "You're Hunter, aren't you?" I was like, yeah, that's me. That's pretty funny though. It's like one of our most famous. I don't know what constitutes as famous at Craig, but I tried to leave a mark. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So since then, what has life been like?
It's been really good. There's been tough challenges, no doubt about it. Adjustment, but it's been good. It's been really good. I came home right as COVID hit in 2020, and so I don't want to call COVID a good thing. There's a lot of negatives about COVID, but what it did, and a positive that came from it, was I got a lot of time to kind of adjust without going out in public, and just being at home. I got to kind of be at home and learn how to live at home in those kind of 2 months of March, April, May of 2020. So I kind of learned how to live again that first summer. So 6 months removed from my accident, I started a 30-hour internship per week. I got back in summer school to make up for the semester that I missed because I wanted to graduate. And so that fall, went back to UND, moved into a condo with Noah, same guy I went on the trip with, moved into a condo with him, and went and finished my degree at UND. Graduated spring of 21. So,
wow.
But it's been busy, man. It's been cool.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
And you do public speaking, and it's phenomenal. Like you're super gifted in public speaking. When did that start, and how did that get going?
Yeah, kind of probably like a lot of our like dreams, passions, whatever. It kind of came out of nowhere a little bit, and you're just like, oh man, look at this. One school, Stephen Argyle, up in Northwest Minnesota, they had done a really cool kind of fundraiser for me called Pinke Promises, and they'd sent pictures, and they'd all wore UND green when I was in the hospital. Super cool. And so their principal somebody at the school had said, would you mind coming and talking to our students? And I was like, sure, it'd be a great way to say thank you. And so I went and talked to him, and then I was like, all right, that's it. Like, that's cool. And that was all I thought it was going to be. That Christmas, at my grandparents', and a local school district calls and says, hey, we just had a speaker had to cancel on us because blizzard couldn't get into Fargo. And we saw you speak at Stephen Argyle. Like, would you mind coming and speaking for us? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, it's Christmas break. He's like, well, we've got, like, you can have his money too. I was like, whoa, like, you gonna pay me? I was like, well, sure. I mean, I guess. When do you want me to come speak? And he goes, well, tomorrow. I go, tomorrow? All right. How many presentations? Like, what's my age groups? He goes, well, we were hoping you could do one for the elementary, one for the junior high, middle school, and then one for the high school. So 3 of them. I was like, all right, here we go. Sure. And so I wrote No Bad Days that night. And I've now talked to, I think, over 150,000 kids in the past 2 years with that same message.
Wow.
Pretty neat.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
So how has faith been a part of that journey for
Yeah.
you?
Well, it's a part of my story. Every single presentation that I give will have that as part of the story. Now, you have to be careful in a public school setting, but I think I go about it in a way that's pretty open. But it's been big. It's been big because, I mean, I come back, Jalen Hurts, quarterback for the Eagles, got asked at Super Bowl week last week what his favorite verse was. John 13:7. You might not understand now, but you'll understand later. And Jesus is talking about, washing of the feet in that story. But, man, you can apply that to all aspects of life. And I'm kind of living in that right now. Like, man, you might not understand, Hunter, what I'm doing now, but later you're going to see it. And kind of in those beginning years, the past 2 years of how this thing's grown and how my story has been able to impact people, like, I'm starting to see it a little bit. I don't know. I won't fully see it. I might not ever fully see it. But I'm starting to see, like, wow, like, maybe this story is bigger than just me.
Definitely.
Yeah. Like, it's not about me. It's about who it can help. So that's been pretty humbling.
Well, I could see how your message, I mean, is giving power to, out of these, what did you say, 150,000 plus?
Yeah.
People are going to, like, resonate with that and then need that message eventually, something in their life. Was there someone in your life who kind of had that impact on you?
Man, I'd be lying if I said, like, my grandpa wasn't my biggest mentor, guy that I was chasing. If you don't, I mean, this is for all listeners. This is for everybody, you included. Like, if you don't have somebody that you're chasing, that you're striving to be like, obviously as Christians, like, Christ should be that. But, there can be people on this world too. Like, I think you should find one because that keeps you going. It gives you a visual of where you're going. And my grandpa was that guy growing up. That's why I played basketball. That's why I wore the number 32 on the court. He's still one of my best friends. So, yeah, my grandpa was my guy, but also, like, my mom. I have a great family. I think I have the best family. I'll argue that with anybody, I think a lot of people would say that, right? Yeah. I got the best family. I'll argue with anybody on that one.
Let me get my mom over here.
That's right. So, yeah, I'd say my grandpa, my mom, but, man, the list is too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this since 2019 was the first one that you did, or 2020?
2020 was the first one, and then it started picking up in 2021, and then last year was 2022 was a big year, and then now continued into this year. Yeah.
And what has that been like? I mean, is that something that you are, for the future, you're going to grow that side of what you do? Like book deals? What are you looking forward
Boy,
to?
I get asked that a lot. So you got a book? No, not yet. I think
It should happen.
I think I will write one. I think I'm in the process of writing the story right now, right? You know, not on paper, but living it. You know, I think there's stuff that's going on. It's like, man, there will be a book someday, but right now I got to graduate, and I got goals for this year that I think we can go chase after, and the book will come. But when I'm done, I always think I'll speak. I think it'd be a disservice to have the story that I've had and gone through what I've gone and then not try and help others.
Did you think about that the first time you were asked? Like, I experienced this, so I should use it to help others?
No, not right away.
Okay.
Not right away. When it hit me was that first speaking gig after Stephen Argyle. So like the first one when he calls me up and I had to write it, and then I went that next day and gave that presentation. I had a kid, front row, quarterback, you know, homecoming king, that guy of the school, come up to me after, and he's like, "Hey, do you mind if I talk to you personally? Just a couple minutes." I was like, "Sure. What's up?" He's like, he kind of go off to the corner, and man, he just starts welling up with tears, and he's like, "Man, I needed this today." And he's like, I don't know if you fully understand. Like, I've been going through some stuff." I was like, "Tell me about it." He tells me about his mom and the struggles of his life. And he's like, "Dude, like your story, and like it saved me. I need it today." And I got thinking, I'm like, if this kid, like the top dog, is feeling this way, like what about the person that's just forgotten about, that you don't see, that's sitting up in the corner? And it hit me in that moment of like, dude, everybody's struggling with something. And if my story can have an impact on that kid, man, like who else can it have an impact on? And that was pretty eye-opening for me, of like, because I'm that first one, I was like, shoot, they're going to pay me to come speak? Sure. But after, I was like, but this is so much bigger than just like money. Like this is like life. This is the real stuff. So that's when I think it opened up.
And that first thing that you wrote is No Bad Days. Can you tell me kind of how that?
Yeah, man, MBD. That's something that it's stuck. It's probably going to stick with me the rest of my life. But I remember, I'll just give you the quick story.
Yeah.
I was in the hospital at Craig, and they try and prepare you like for what's life going to be like when you get out of there. And they're really focused on independence. You know, we want you to be independent. And I remember one of my nurses would always kind of talk about good days and bad days. You know, you're going to have some good days, you're also going to have some bad days. And I got thinking, and it really comes back to like John 13:7 of like, you might not understand it now, but later you will. And it's like, you know what? There's got to be some reason for the struggle. Like maybe, just maybe, I'm going through this so that this can happen. I can't see it now, but maybe I will later. And I got to a point in those whys to why nots, and you start, you know, your mind starts shifting. It's like, you know what, Lori, I'm not going to have any more bad days. So you got to stop telling me I'm going to have bad days. And, you know, they're just trying to help. They're, you know, fantastic people. And she's like, well, how are you going to do that? And what I've come up with is that everybody's life's different, but what we all can relate on is truth. And truth doesn't change. True is true. And my truth is I'm still here. I have a choice, and I'm loved. Those three things. Those never change. They're true every single morning. I'm still here. I got breath in my lungs, right? I have a choice. I live in the United States of America. I might not be able to control what happens to me, but I do have a choice on how I respond to it, right? And then lastly is I'm loved. And, you know, maybe one of your listeners goes, well, that's where we're different, Hunter. You know, I don't feel much love. Well, you might not just be receiving it yet. It's out there, though. And so those three things, man, if those three things are true for me, I'm not going to have any bad days. They might be tough, but there's a difference.
Okay, can I ask you about that?
Yeah.
That one kid you're talking about in the back corner, maybe they've got two of the three things. Mm-hmm. but you're saying they may not have just received it yet.
Yeah.
What's your advice to them?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is, man, hang on. Like, hang on. Because good days are coming. I don't know when, but they're coming. So hang on. I always say, man, hang on to your glass. Broken glass can't hold water. But it can be refilled drop by drop. And boy, love is one of those things like, I got nobody in my family that loves me. Okay. All right. I got no friends that love me. Okay. I'll believe that too. You can't tell me though that nobody in your community loves you. I don't believe you. You never been to Bismarck. You never been to, nope, I don't believe it. Somebody loves you. And you just haven't found it yet. But it's out there. And guess what? You will have a friend that loves you someday. It might not be right now, but someday you will. And it's your choice, but you could have a family that loves you too. Not everybody's born with it, but you can create it. And so what I would tell that person, first off, hold on. And second off, your drop's coming. Your drop's coming. Your glass isn't going to be empty forever. And so, yeah, love is coming, but sometimes we have to open up our eyes to see it. Sometimes I think we're blind to it. Man, if we look around, people are willing to help. I think this world is good at its core, is good. And sometimes we just have to be able to receive it.
So if you've got, if you met someone who goes through a situation like you did, and maybe their normal situation, like their normal reaction is not going to be one of positivity.
Sure.
What might be something that you would be able to say in that instance, so they're not going to be a life of despair or just resolving to that situation?
I'll say your life isn't over. Number one, it's not over. And the passions that you had beforehand, like, I hope you have a passion of some sort. You can still pursue that stuff. Like, it might be different, but you can still do it. Like, I still play basketball. I love the game. I just do it from a wheelchair. I can still go up steps if I really need to. I just do it a lot slower, right? Like, I can do pretty much everything that I used to be able to do. I just do it in a different way. And there's so much adaptive technology now, and there's been so much advancement that like, dude, your injury is not the end of you. It just changed it. It's not over. So that's what I would tell them is like, you have so much more life to go live.
Right.
Just go live it. It's going to look different, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just different. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, we've got a lot to think about.
Absolutely. I will say one thing about the no bad days.
Yeah.
People are going, man, you don't know what I've gone through. Like, I get that a lot. Man, you don't know what I've gone through. You're right. I'm not trying to pretend like I know your life, what you've gone through. But there's a difference between bad days and tough days. A fundamental difference that is very clear. For me, at least. And that is that a bad day would imply that my circumstances, what I'm feeling, or your circumstances, what you're feeling, that gets to dictate the joy in our lives. And that's just not true. My joy is not rooted in my circumstances. My joy is rooted when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
And like, when we can come to realize that, like, man, no matter what's happening to me, like, if I'm still here, I still got a chance.
Is that how you feel when you wake up in the morning?
Absolutely. That's
Really?
it. Yeah. Like, I got the time. Take a deep breath. Whew, Tom Brady effect, right?
Yeah.
I'm still in it. If I'm breathing, I got a chance, you know? That's it.
And is there a practical like thing that you do, like be it meditation or prayer in the morning, that like puts you in that circumstance, or are you like first breath in the morning?
No, first breath in the morning, it's like, get that alarm off. Like,
Yeah.
snooze. Yeah. No, the wake up for me, the reset for me. A lot of people like will have like a tattoo or something that resets them, like, right? Mm-hmm. For me, it's when my feet hit the floor. And I cannot physically tell my feet to get on the ground, but I can lift them up and set them there. And when I set my feet on the ground, it's like a reset for me of like, okay, it looks a little different than it used to, but I'm back. Let's go. And for me, that's my reset of like, okay, I tell myself the truths every single day. I'm still here. I have a choice. I'm loved. Let's go. Day started. Automatically, that puts me in a state of gratefulness. And man, if you start your day with gratefulness, if that's your base of how you start your day, you're in for a different life. You're automatically going to start seeing the world differently through a different lens. So,
and that 2% that the doctor gave you, is that still a 2% that you could still get feeling back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could. With complete injuries, I mean, it's low percentage that you get anything back. I could. I really haven't got much change in my level of any sort, but man, I have no pain, like none. So I live a very comfortable life.
Yeah.
I always say though, like, I think I'm gonna walk again, and I say that not to be like, I'm gonna walk again, like rah rah. No, like I actually do believe it. Hunter, why? Well, I just kind of got a feeling.
Yeah.
I got a feeling like I got a big God. I think there's a ton of different pathways that it could happen technologically, scientifically, electrically. There's tons of different ways. All of that God has his hand on, obviously. But yeah, couple years, couple decades, whatever it might be, the timing's not up to me, but I think I'll walk again.
I believe it.
Yeah. I just got to go to the Paralympics first, then fix it.
Yeah.
Right. Let me go to the Paralympics, then fix it. Yeah.
Are you going to do the Paralympics?
Boy, I wish I could just be like, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
But it's hard. There's great athletes.
And you're talking basketball.
Basketball, I'm not saying that's going to be the only avenue. I've got a couple ideas, and I'll tell you about them when I do them. But basketball is tough because it's by far the most popular adaptive sport, and we've got a really good team in the United States. But we've got a great team at the University of Arizona. Get the opportunity to lead those guys, be a captain for them. Right now, the goal is to win a national championship. We lost in the national championship last year, and so we're going to try and go back and win it. But, man, you win a national championship, you're obviously playing good ball, and then it gives you a shot. So we'll see. Paralympics would be awesome. Man, wearing USA across my chest, that would be like the most ultimate cool thing ever. So that's definitely a goal.
So you're in school.
Yeah.
And you're getting your degree. What's the degree and what does it do for you?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do after that?
Well, I graduated from UND, North Dakota's flagship university.
Yes, yeah.
I just want to throw that out there. and did that in mechanical engineering. And then I went to the U of A down in Tucson, and I'll finish up a degree in real estate development from the U of A. So I see myself, I like to build. Our family's in the building industry, and so I like to build and be the idea guy. What about this? The big idea, and kind of seeing the overview of that. So that's what I'll plan on doing. And then I can come back to my roots too of our family farms on my other side. So we're going to adapt a tractor, I think, so I can get back in the field a little bit.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that this worked out because I think we've been talking since I met you, which was at the
couple
FCA
years.
banquet.
Yeah, a couple years.
Kind of, I suppose, earlier on
Yeah.
in speaking and stuff, and I was super touched by that interaction. But I've just always known, all right, this is a guy. He's legit. He gets it, and yeah. So I've been looking forward to this for a long time. So thank you for making it work.
Absolutely.
Thanks for talking. And I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to add or talk about while you're here. Or
Man,
anything,
I would just say, whoever's listening, like, you got something, you're struggling with something, like, you're not alone. You're not alone. And people are there to help you. You just might have to receive that help. And I can attest to that. Like, sometimes that's hard. to be like, yeah, okay, I can use your help, because you don't want it. You want to be able to do it yourself. But you can always reach out via social media. I would say I got 100% response rate on the first message, no doubt about it. Reach out to me. There's lots of people, but you can always reach out to me. I'm sure you guys can throw my handles in the pod or whatever posted. And then I got my website too. You can email me through there. So feel free to reach out whenever.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much.
You bet.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Brian Jackson with Mighty Missouri Coffee. With me is Nolan Johnson with Quantum Digital. So if you like how this sounds and looks, thanks to Quantum Digital, if you like the way that this smells and tastes, that's thanks to Mighty Missouri Coffee. Coffee to your door, mightymissouri.com.